Damn, son, ever since Bank of Canada on September 4th dropped the interest 25 basis points to 4.25 and moving the prime to 6.45, social media has been blowing up. Realtors, mortgage agents, lenders, bankers, they're acting as if it's a big bad Bollywood wedding. So who really benefits? Number one, it's those individuals who are on a variable mortgage. Number two, it's those companies who are looking to expand. Number three, it's the companies who want to upgrade their equipment or upgrade their fixtures within their current plan. You're probably yelling at your phone or tablet right now and saying, Manu, I want to buy a house. Won't this lower interest rate help me? And the straightforward answer is no. Mortgaging a home or getting an auto loan is not just based on the interest rate. There are three variables at play, and all three of these levers, as we'll call them, have to fall into perfect harmony. So let's get into it. Your very first variable or lever is your interest. The second variable is the actual cost of the asset that you want to purchase. And then the third variable, which is probably the most important variable, is how much can you afford based on your current cash flow. Now, once you've got these three variables, what you do is you take the interest rate, you take the cost of acquisition, you put in a blender, and you figure out how long will you be amortizing this loan. Then based off of that amortization rate, you get an amount, which is a blend of the interest and the principal of how much you're paying off each month. Once you have that fixed monthly cost, you then compare that to how much you can afford based on your cash flow. If you can't afford it, then what you do is number one, you look for a property that's cheaper, or number two, how can I increase my income through active income or passive income so I can afford this house that I want to buy? Or number three, you just wait for the interest rates to come down and you hope the cost of that house does not go up. So let's come back to the state of Canada. As per the Bank of Canada in its May 2024 Financial Stability Report, it said that half of all outstanding mortgages are on an interest rate that were signed prior to this inflationary period, which means half of all Canadian mortgages are now coming up for renewal in 2025 and 26 and end of 24, in which their interest rates will double. The truth of the matter is, when people qualify for a mortgage, they barely qualify, right? So when they qualified at 1.8, 1.9 to 2.1%. Now for them to qualify at 5, 6% will be a huge sticker shock. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, a mortgage from 2.0% to 4.25% is only an increase of 2.25%. I mean, 2.25% isn't that much, but the impact on the dollars is huge. And here's a quick example. On a $500,000 mortgage, a 2.25% increase in interest rate is equal to $11,250 a year, an additional $11,000, which comes out to $937.50 a month. And then, like they say, no money, no honey. So my thoughts on the housing market is what I'm seeing is that the buyers currently can't afford to purchase a home. And the sellers who can afford to maintain their home are not selling. So what we have right now between the buyers and the sellers is a standoff, and quite frankly, no one's winning. Now let's look at the labor force. Canadians are only 70% as productive as their American counterparts. For example, if a Canadian chops down 7 trees a day, the American counterpart will chop down 10 trees of the exact same size. Now, this lack of productivity not only hurts the economy, but it also hurts your wallet. And you might be wondering why. Listen, when it's costing you more in labor, more in resources to produce a good that your counterpart can produce at a cheaper rate, where do you think the market will go to acquire that product or service? Would you want to purchase a Canadian good that is 30% more expensive? On the flip side, when employees become more efficient, that puts upward pressure on wages because companies are now competing for your services. When productivity goes up, sales go up, there is more demand for a workforce, which means there's an upward pressure on salaries. But right now, because we're inefficient, there's a downward pressure on salary. Now, here's some more mind-boggling stats by the Bank of Canada. The GDP is expected to grow 1.7% to 2% between 2025 and 2027. The GDP is your growth in productivity. In essence, how quickly is your economy growing? And 1.7 to 2% is not a lot over 2 years. Now, higher the GDP percentage, it means the economy is growing at a faster rate, which allows you to then demand for a higher salary. But the scary part is, during that same period, inflation is expected to remain between 2% and 2.75%. It means the cost of goods will grow at a faster rate than your increase in salary. So on a macro level, Canada needs to invest in innovation. Canada needs to invest in industries of the future. On a micro level, Canadians need to become more efficient. We have to increase our compete level. We have to train ourselves so that we remain competitive locally and globally. Because as of right now, we are weak on a macro level and a micro level, hence why our job market is suffering.
If we don't deal with this now, soon little Gamble here won't be able to get a nickel for his grandma.
So guys, let's quickly touch upon the unemployment rate. Now, this is how I view a good unemployment rate versus a bad unemployment rate. 5% or less means the economy is very strong. 6%, it's mediocre. It's in the gray area, nor here nor there. It just depends on your qualifications and what you do. 7% or greater means we're now in a very deep recession. In June 2023, Canada had a 5.1% unemployment rate. As of the latest data, August 2024, the unemployment rate is 6.6%, which means Canada has gone 1.5% in the wrong direction. So friends, I've thrown a lot of data at you. Take it, digest it, go into beast mode, and figure out how you will strategize moving forward. And remember, it all starts with a simple conversation.